In the book of heavy metal. In the book of heavy metal.
I have a tendency. I don't know if you did. You grow up watching Professor Balthazar on TV?
No.
You know, like it's
No.
it's a Czech Republic comic or something like that. It's this professor when he's trying to come up with great solutions and ideas. He just walks around all the time, while he's thinking, like in circles. And I have noticed that I'm doing quite the same. Just when I'm walking, I just walk around when I'm thinking. And
Yeah, so we're very influenced. It's very influenced by
no,
that.
not so much influenced. It's just that it just gets the thought process going, I suppose. To move around. Yeah.
Okay. So
quite eccentric. Yeah. So you've been reading a few pages.
Yes,
you said?
yes. I've been reading your book. I began a couple of days ago, and I've read almost 40 pages. It's very interesting the way you write a book, the way you choose the position of the chapters, because it's like flash forward and flash backward with time.
I choose to do it like that because I thought it would be to write it chronologically, like starting I was born and then just continue. It would be a little bit too boring, and I've read some reviews where they said it's they really much appreciated that. It still keeps the thread and the sort of like the story going, but going back, looking back, and then moving forward and so on. And they said it's like it ties up in the end, just like Pulp Fiction, that movie.
Yeah. It gives
kind of a good sample. What do you say? Comparison, I should say. Yeah. I think it is.
It gives it dynamic. No, I think it's starting to read because of that. I'm liking it as I'm reading it. It's quite.
That's very good. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So
it's like I mentioned earlier, it's been getting those astounding reviews, and I'm just over the moon with happiness and gratitude, of course, because people seem to like that. I spent so much time working on this. It started out as I needed to get sort of my inner demons, to make peace with that or whatever. Or when I hit 40, I had like this serious or severe midlife crisis, and I needed to either jump from the bridge or spend all my money on a drink for the next decade or so. But then since I'm this do-it-yourself kind of guy, I needed to solve the problem myself, and to I had this kind of impulse or unstoppable urge to write, to put black on white, to be able to step out of yourself, or just like see things in perspective, because I was like I had been out on tour with Therion for a whole year, and it was coming home, and I just hit 40 and turned 40, and everything felt like weird. But anyway, so I needed to sort of come to terms with myself and my problematic streak or whatever you say. So that's how it started anyway.
That was a good decision, I think, because if the other option was
from the bridge,
the other option was quite worse.
But being in the music business, everything's been centered since the inception of rock music. It's all been a youth culture, youth revolution, sort of like that. And you think that you're going to be young forever or whatever, but when you hit 40, there's no escaping. Okay, fuck, I have to face this. I'm an old man now, and it felt like, wow, what have I accomplished? What have I achieved in my life? I couldn't see anything positive. I thought I'm the biggest loser ever. I might as well kill myself. Because I couldn't face those kind of demons or thoughts, really. But once I got a little bit of perspective on things, I realized that okay, I've done pretty good for myself, and been touring all over the world and releasing albums and playing with some of my favorite artists like King Diamond and so on. So I guess I should be a little bit happier, at least.
You must think my inner child would be proud of what I've done, and I think
yeah, but like I said, after I've been writing day and night for like 5 weeks, and I started to get the hang of it and started to appreciate things, and then I could see that okay, I might not have accomplished what Kiss had done in the 70s or whatever, but who has? Nobody. No one after them. And so I've been doing pretty good for myself, at least. And, without compromise, I always follow my heart, because I never follow the money or anything like that. I just did what I had passion for, to be able to do music. And, to me, I try to combine it all. I mean, I'm doing art and designing album covers, building stage props, and, into photography and writing and playing all the instruments and singing and all the kind of crap that I like, So I don't have any hobbies. I was doing this interview and they asked me, well, what kind of hobbies do you have? Fucking, maybe, I don't know. Not really much. But I managed to combine it all. I mean, everything I like in life, all my passions and the fascinations or whatever. I sort of put it all into a big cauldron and stir around. So it's like a mix of everything that I like, So,
I think you're answering almost half of the questions.
I'm sorry.
That's nice. That's good. How is the books? How's the book selling? Is it selling good? I know you have a good feedback from the.
Actually, I mean, it's going really great. People were saying that because this is a self-published book. I have no previous experience at all from the book business, but I sort of I thought that maybe it should be pretty similar to the record industry, and the record industry is kind of dying, I mean, physical products is not selling so much, and everything is streaming online and digital and all that. And so I wasn't sure that I was even gonna get in touch with any book publishers or anything like that, because I don't know. So I decided to do it all myself, like I always do, basically. I mean, I've come to this conclusion. Unless they start throwing millions after me, I won't sign any record deals with any companies, because after all these years and being so much involved and taking care of so much stuff myself, I would say that I have a pretty good insight and experience and routine and a lot of experience and all that, which not a lot of those people working at the record companies and stuff, they don't necessarily have as much experience that I do. And so why should I fucking let them have 50% of the money and they do a crappier job than I would do, like before breakfast, so I figured that I'm just going to publish it myself. So basically I'm selling it through my web shop, and I'm shipping all over the world. I mean, I just shipped today to Canada a couple of books, and to Greece and Czech Republic and Sweden too. But so I'm just sending it all over the world. So things are going really great, and it's my core fans. People who follow me, followers on Facebook and all the social medias. Those are my core fans, I suppose. And they've been buying it, so things are going really, really great, I gotta say.
And have you thought of selling or distributing your book through other channels, so it reaches more public, or it's gonna keep?
I've been thinking about it, but this is the limited deluxe edition, so it's like a hard not hard case, what do you call it, hardback, and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
464 pages. I mean, you got the PDF. I mean, that is for promotion only
Yeah.
for interviewers and journalists and all that. But it's kind of exclusive, and I'm dedicating it to the buyers, and I autograph it, and it was also numbered in the past. So it's I put a lot my heart and soul into this, basically, or bled into it, you know. So that's what they're getting. But I've been thinking about, like, so this is a limited edition, so it's only 1,500. It's like 1,000 for me, shipping all over the world from Sweden. But then I have 500 books in America too, for the US market. I paid like to have them shipped over the shipping to a minimum for the Americans. Otherwise, I mean, they've been complaining in the past if they want to buy my DVD box or whatever. It's like, wow, the shipping is more expensive than the actual product.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, but it's not my fault.
Yeah. No.
I'm just trying to keep it as low as possible.
Okay.
But anyway, so I had 500 books shipped to San Diego, and and they pretty much sell it all over America then. And but after that, I figured that maybe I should contact, since the sales are going so good, really, and are so great, and the reception is so overwhelmingly good. I should contact a regular publisher or something to get it out into all the airports and stuff. But then it's like a paperback version of it. It's like a little cheaper version of it, I guess. So this is if you want to get your hands on the real deal, this is the exclusive thing, and it gets dedicated and signed and all that. So you should, just hook me up on my web shop.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay. And now I would like to make some questions about your life, if it doesn't spoil too much of the book, because
I don't know.
You can always say, read it on the book.
I'm like an open book. I just tell it as it is, and that's kind of exceptional for this book, because I'm not keeping anything inside. I'm telling things the way it is, and it's like this fucking business. It's just wrapped up in all this glitter and glamour, and people think it's like so glamorous to be in this business, but I'm telling it like it is. I'm spilling the beans and revealing a lot of the dirty side of the business, I gotta say. And I think it's about time because I mean, I have friends who's been playing in bands and stuff, that when we grew up, and they ask, okay, when you're out on tour, how many millions do you earn? It doesn't quite work like that anymore. I mean, so, unless you wear Metallica, but it's even hard for them nowadays, I suppose.
I guess. Yeah,
it is.
I guess a lot of musicians have regular jobs aside from the main job.
Yeah, but I'm trying to manage that, and this is. I mean, I gotta say that this book, I decided when I was going to turn 20 that, okay, fuck this shit now. I mean, I had 12 jobs in 2 years, and I got fired from all of them, and so I decided that fuck this shit. Otherwise, I don't, if I'm not going to follow my heart and do what I want to do with my life, I might as well kill myself right away. I told my mom, and from then on, for 30 years, I've been, managed to earn my living basically all from music. So
that's
what I
that's
wanted to
good.
do. I think you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and work hard, and but I'm kind of doing 2-3 bands at the same time. I've been doing it for the last 25 years or something like that. But since a couple of years ago, I decided that, okay, I keep quitting all the bands because I get fed up with that, or I need to explore new things or new adventures or whatever. And that's why I decided to go solo and play all the instruments and do my own music, because that's the only band I can't quit.
Yeah.
Unless I die.
You should then change your name or something to quit the band.
Yeah. Or cut my hair like I have.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, your hair is always changing, no? It's like
Yeah, but I don't know. Change is healthy, I suppose, and you get tired of yourself. I mean, I get tired of see myself in the bathroom mirror every morning, whatever. So to change every once in a while, I mean, it's good. I think. Yeah.
So you said when you were 20 years, you have been fired from 12 jobs in a couple of years or something, and then Mikkey D told you to be his substitute in King Diamond, no?
Not the substitute, but his replacement. Yeah.
So his
because
replacement, that's a word.
He sort of briefed me when we were out partying and on Christmas Day. He was home from Los Angeles because King Diamond had moved 2 years earlier, or a couple of years back to Los Angeles and relocated to Los Angeles because it's a good melting pot for the industry back then in the 80s. And he was home in Sweden over Christmas, and I was leaving out of town and came home. So we were out partying or just met in the club or whatever. And he said, "Yeah, but I'm going to quit King Diamond. I think you should take my spot there because you would be perfect with that job." But at that point, I want to do my own stuff. That's what I always want to do, my own music and stuff. And I thought we were both kind of drunk. So I thought it was the alcohol doing the talking, basically. So, but anyway, a couple of months later, Pete Black, who's had his eye on me because he wanted to have me as a drummer in his own solo bands and stuff, and he contacted me and kept sending me postcards and stuff like that. And then he said that I'm going to be back home in Sweden, Gothenburg tomorrow or 2 days later, whatever. And I want to meet up because I have something I want to talk to you about. And then he came back from LA. They had been auditioning over 40 drummers, according to him. And they were like really famous guys and well established from all over the world who's been flying in to try for the slot in King Diamond. And he said that they couldn't pull it off, So he said, yeah. Sorry, I'm just gonna take my pizza here from the oven. Anyway, so he was saying that I think you should take the spot to get some routine and get experience and all that. And I figured that once I got home after being away for a year studying or fucked up school, I realized that coming home to Sweden or to Gothenburg again, I mean, this kind of hair metal thing that I so much despised has become even worse. I mean, it was to find the right members for the thing that I wanted to do. So I figured I fucking got to move away from this country or move to America or something like that. But and I started thinking maybe I should go to PIT, like Music Institute of Technology, like so many Swedes did back then. But why the fuck? I've been kicked out of just been kicked out of a school. So why should I try? And so I just figured out, okay, this is the best opportunity ever. And since it's happened twice, they asked me twice, I cannot possibly turn it down. So, yeah, I got the job there.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And you were you knew the music of King Diamond. You were a fan, no, of King Diamond and Merciful Fate.
I was a fan of Merciful Fate from way back when I discovered them in 1983 on the compilation album and all that. I heard the song Black Funeral. It was a lot of up and coming American bands, and I just figured that they were American because back then it wasn't so common that all the bands were basically from either England or America or maybe Germany. But then I found out a few years later, because this was way before internet, of course, that they were from our neighborhood country, Denmark, and King was like the guy singing in falsetto about Satan. He looked like a even weirder version of Alice Cooper or something. So yeah, and wow, that's really cool. And yes, I really liked it. I really got into Merciful Fate, bought the Melissa album right away and stuff. So yeah, but then I also followed King Diamond, and but I was like not so much a diehard fan, but Mickey D I've known since I was 13, and Anne LaRocque I knew kind of briefly too. So yeah. I mean, they're both from Gothenburg, so there's a good connection there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this is exactly what I like. I mean, me and King. I mean, even though he's like 12 years older than me, we have the same influences like Alice Cooper, Kiss, Black Sabbath, Heap in particular, and so we share the same kind of. To be out with that band doing this kind of Welcome to My Nightmare, Alice Cooper kind of thing, wow, with the House of Amen and all that. I mean, it was just fantastic. So I basically, it's an overnight sensation, I want to say, or such a weird transition from coming from nothing, playing the fucking youth center or something like that, and to headline a tour across America for 3 months. I mean, it was like a big
step. It's
step.
like a rush of
it was hard to grasp it all. I mean, it was such a huge, just overnight, basically. Everything happened. It was really cool. Yeah.
And you began, as I've read in your book, you began being a drummer because you liked a lot the Kiss, no? The band Kiss was at the time when you were younger, your favorite band, and you began playing drums because of them. But then you've moved to playing bass guitar, and singing. How is the moment when you decide to put yourself in front of the crowd instead of being backwards behind the drums?
But you could say I started my own band, Notre Dame. Like in 96, 97 or something like that, and I don't want to reveal too much about those details, but then I was the frontman and singer, just because it was a necessity, because I couldn't find a proper singer. It was so hard to find. You could have tons of guitar players, but to find a singer, it was impossible. But of course, I had like high expectations. I was kind of naive, like you are when you're young, and like, wow, I'm gonna find like a singer like Eric Adams of Manowar, just living in the suburbs here in Gothenburg or something, and hopefully a little bit of a Rob Halford too, and it was impossible to find those kind of matches. So in a way, I was like had high demands and big expectations, and so in the end, I mean, I've been working with a lot of different bands, and I had Memento Mori and Ill Will and all that, and eventually I reached a point where I got so pissed off that fuck it all, I got to do it all myself. So that's why I figured I have to sing myself, But then I joined years later. I got the offer to join Therion as one of the singers, and that's when I really got out there, and we were out touring all over the world, and they were hugely popular, almost Beatlemania in Latin America and in South America. So that was a really cool experience. I didn't have that much experience from fronting a band or talking to the audience or anything like that. But I gotta say, I mean, it might seem a bit strange to do that kind of transition from being in the back to stepping forward like that. But if you look at it, Bon Scott was originally a drummer. Iggy Pop was originally a drummer. Dave Grohl, obviously. Nick Anderson of Entombed. So there's a connection there.
Wait. Yeah, a little bit of problems of connection. Okay, it's okay. I was saying but Bon Scott was a drummer in the first place.
And also Iggy Pop and a lot of singers. They were originally Phil Collins, of course, but also Nick Anderson of Entombed and stuff. So I guess there's a connection there. If you get tired of being in the back, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm tired of hitting the drums. Give me the fucking microphone.
But
I know.
I guess it is. I don't know. I couldn't say, but I also got that a lot from Mickey D, I suppose, because I had just started playing drums when I got to know him, because he's 5 years older than me, and had been playing for as long as I had lived back then. And he was playing in a local band, and they were rehearsing at my school in the auditorium, And I was really impressed by him, because wow, he was such a good drummer and had been playing for such a long time. Had this huge pearl chrome kit like Peter Criss or something, which I never seen in my entire life. Wow, I was so impressed. But also that is something that I didn't realize until maybe 10 years ago or something. I told him, wow, you've been a great role model or influence on me, because I mean, you were sort of like the star in the band, even though he was in the back. Just because you're a drummer in the back, you don't have to be Charlie Watts of the Rolling Stones. I mean, usually it's the singers and guitar players who get all the attention, and the drummers they are basically just a timekeeper in the back. But it doesn't have to be that way,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You can sing in many different textures. I think from high pitch vocals to very low end grunts, no, or something. Did someone tell you that you could be a singer before you decided to sing in Notre Dame, because you didn't find any other? Or
not really. I mean, people have been saying that I had some talent for it, because I could mimic Klaus Meine, whatever, like those kind of nasal things. But you can read about that in the book. I mean, there's a very interesting chapter, because I am most of my influences. I had a hard time to singing or singing along to their songs, like Ronnie James Dio, for example, Eric Adams or Klaus Meine, like I mentioned, or Bruce Dickinson and all that, because we're singing in such a full voice in a high top range, like you do in metal, basically, And when I tried to do that, I had to struggle really, really hard. So I got really frustrated when I tried to do that, when I tried to start singing. And after a while, I was like getting hoarse in my voice and all that. So a friend said that maybe you should go to a vocal coach. So, okay, I did. And he said that, yeah, you have a great baritone bass voice and a low voice like that. And maybe you should just accept what God has given you, basically, like nature. Yeah, but I never listened to people like teachers and stuff. So I have to learn my own way, by making mistakes, I suppose. But he told me that because I'm so tall, I have longer vocal cords.
Yeah.
And those guys that I look up to, like my favorite singers, they are basically like half a meter shorter than me, like Ron James Dio and Bruce Dickinson and all those guys. So they are by nature, by default, they are tenors with a higher voice like that. You know?
Yeah, I guess.
yeah. It kind of makes sense, you know.
It makes sense, but you still giving those high pitched vocals here and there.
Said, I don't listen to good advice. I need to learn for myself. So I was just like trying really hard. So,
okay. This question is about the in almost all the projects in which you have taken place or you have been involved in theatricality, no? That's the word.
Theatrically, yeah. A lot of theater or whatever.
Has a lot of weight, no? Have you ever thought or to act to interpret in some play in a theater or cinema or TV or something, or is it still an unexplored territory?
Over the years, people's been saying to me that maybe I should be try out to be an actor or something. But I never had any desire to go into that really. But I don't know, maybe down the road. The thing is, when I was hired as a singer and frontman in Therion, on the side of that, they wanted me to be in charge of the presentation, sort of like what do you call it? The visual presentation, all the stage props and because in the past, I suppose there were always this kind of mix of opera and heavy metal, and the kind of pompous and symphonic and all that. But they didn't dress accordingly. They were kind of in their street clothes and you know, jogging pants and all that. And I think that's why not dress accordingly and try to give the audience a full experience? Like if you go to the opera, for example, and there you see Macbeth, you don't want to see people in jeans and stuff like that, because I mean you want something for the eyes and the ears and the whole atmosphere. So I mean that's what I grew up with. I mean I grew up with Kiss, and if they would have looked like Budgie or some other band, I wouldn't care about them, because I mean it was the image that attracted me, and it was the full concept, the whole thing, I suppose. So you know. Anyway, I did that with Notre Dame and stuff, because that was kind of like a horror, shock rock metal thing, you know, like extension of inspired by everything from Death Esses to Alice Cooper, obviously, Arthur Brown and Wasp and all that, you know. Yeah, and you know, because I mean that's what I like, you know. I think that's you want to create an atmosphere or a vision for the people to really get into the whole thing, you know. So that's what I did also, but I never had any desire to become an actor or anything like that. But let's see.
And
maybe a porn star, but I don't like porn guys.
Well, in this sense about the theatrically and the custom stage clothes and so on, I guess we will never see you play in a stage without a costume or without makeup. We'll never see you just in jeans or jogging pants or something like that.
Not with my own band, because it's part of the character, I suppose. But I can do. I jump up on stage. Sorry, I'm having my dinner. Yeah, but I'm up on stage just jamming out. I mean, then I'm dressed like I am now. I mean, just jeans and t-shirts, I suppose. Yeah. But if you want to go into the role, or like I was saying, so depends on what kind of thing it is. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be makeup and stuff. It all depends, you know. You want to, if people want to going to spend a lot of money, hard-earned money on seeing a show, I think they want to have a little bit of escapism, like go into fairy tale land or get into the whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think that's an important role. I mean, you don't want to go see King Diamond when he's standing there with his baseball cap, and just blue jeans. I mean, because he is King Diamond with the makeup and all, and same thing with Kiss or whatever it is. I mean,
Oh, but for example, I know when you see a thrash metal band, no, they usually
but they always
go up
like
there
that. But it's a part of that. But they also have their fucking dress code.
Yeah, I know.
Tennis shoes or basket shoes and a leather jacket and
leather jacket or a vest with a lot of patches and so on.
But so it's just like I remember. I think Metallica, they were kind of trying to go against the grain when they first came, because then all the bands looked like Iron Maiden with striped tights and all that. More punk and more street, I suppose. But that was also sort of a conscious choice or design or something like that. So that's kind of created the way you should look if you play thrash metal. It was like anti-poser, but that's also a poser, because everybody was the same thing.
I know what you mean.
But I mean, there are all those different genres. I mean, there's an indie pop, whatever specific genre they call shoegazing. You're supposed to be so not extroverted but inverted and stand, look, stare on your shoes. To be sort of, I'm so
I'm so sad.
I don't know. Okay, but if you want to go see a band, you want to have some sort of action going on there or something. But you should stand with your back to the crowd and stare at your shoes and be depressed. Okay, good for you. Different genres, I suppose.
Okay. And well, you told us before that you, aside from the music, you also paint the illustrations for or cover artworks for other bands, and you also make photographs and the stage closing for Notre Dame and Therion. There's any more noteworthy facets that you or aspects of your art?
But I've been trying pretty much everything just out of curiosity or see if it's worth the efforts. I've been producing bands, being a coach to bands. I've been writing songs to other artists. I still do occasionally, but you just got to try to make ends meet or earn your fucking money to have food on the table. And so, I mean, if it's in the field of my own interest, or if I have the expertise or knowledge about it, I've been producing bands like that and helping them out, writing the songs, designing, and being a coach, basically.
So you produce more records than Notre Dame and Memento Mori. I think you produced 2 records of Memento Mori and complete discography of Notre Dame.
I mean,
more.
Let's just say I don't even know what I'm not so hung up on titles. I mean, I could easily call myself like a record boss, a record label manager, and a producer, and a stylist, or an illustrator, or I don't know, all those kind of titles. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm just doing a lot of stuff, yeah, that's basically it. I mean, if I'm a songwriter, if I'm a singer, if I play bass or whatever, I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter. I mean, sometimes people ask me, what instrument do you prefer since you play so many of them? I don't give a crap, basically. I mean, to me, it's just tools. Just like you would ask a carpenter, which is your favorite tool? Is it a hammer or the saw? I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm creating music, so I don't care too much about what I'm playing, as long as it turns out in the end the way I sort of envision it in my head, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So you can.
Yeah, but so I produce. I mean, when I'm doing my own music, I'm producing that, of course, myself, whatever that means. But you got to understand that if you compare it to making movies, then it's the director that is more of the equivalent to in music being the producer.
Yeah.
And that can mean a lot of things. I've been involved in making albums, and then the studio engineer says, "Yeah, I'm gonna get the credits as a producer." Not really, I said, because I mean, I'm the visionary here who tell people what to do and try to have the sort of zoom out and have a full picture of it and create it in a specific direction of what you want to accomplish and achieve with the music. You've been pushing the buttons, start and stop, basically, and you know, so you're more like the studio engineer, you know.
Yeah,
Not necessarily having the full picture or vision of it, you know. So it can mean anything, basically, you know.
Yeah. Well, because
I mean, people hired this guy Chips, a Swedish guy who's like really competent and produce a lot of stuff, but he cannot run the machines at all or put up the mics or anything like that. He's not so much involved in the sound. So then you have other people who are more, you know, suited for that or to putting up the mics or something. He can just sit there and, no, I want it more thicker sound, more like blah blah blah, whatever. So yeah, so it can mean just about anything.
Different styles of producing a record and so on.
Yeah, but I mean, my favorites is like when I discovered Kiss when I was a kid. It happened because I was like such a diehard fan of horror comics, horror movies, and superhero comic books and all that. And then I was listening to maybe Sweet and Nazareth and Deep Purple a little bit, and yeah, it was good. Yeah, but when I discovered Kiss, I mean, you had a whole vision, so it was a perfectly good transition for me into the great world of rock and roll, if you want.
Yeah,
you know? Because they looked the part, and also Kiss Destroyer had this phenomenal album cover, illustrated, painted in oil. It was like great horror comic book or whatever, and the sound, it's like so cinematic. It's, if you close your eyes, it's almost like you can listen to some dark horror or action movie or something being played, because of children crying, cars crashing, and all those kind of things going on in the music. It's not just plain rock songs recorded in the studio. It's more like painting a picture, I gotta say, you know. Yeah. And that's but that's down to Bob Ezrin, who's a phenomenal producer, and he's basically the guy behind Alice Cooper, and he also produced Pink Floyd's The Wall, for example. He's a really great imagination and vision, and he knows exactly how to paint with the music, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
That's the way I like it, you know. So.
That's quite good. Yeah. I have here is you participated in the album Les Fleurs du Mal from Therion, the Fleurs du Mal, the French album, the covers album, and it was a bit controversial between the fans, and but my question goes that way: the experience of singing in French, but because I think you don't speak French. No. Or you do? No.
No, I don't.
No. And anyone in the band did speak French at the time? Or?
No.
it was just Christopher Johansson's idea to sing in French.
Yeah, but actually, you can read about that in the book. I mean, because I was so much against it. I
Uh-huh.
happened to be probably the only guy in the whole band that kind of liked this music from the late 60s with Brigitte Bardot and Saint Gainsbourg, or yeah, however you pronounce her name. And I think Christopher had this crazy idea or weird idea that he should do remakes of those songs from that time period in France, like late 60s, early 70s, and to make it metal of it or something like that, metal music. And I said, yeah, but if Rammstein would have done it, it would be, for instance, it would be, they would add something exceptional, I suppose. There is a great combo, or the best of two worlds, I suppose, you know. But the way I saw it is that he basically picked out the songs, learned the songs, and played it on a distorted guitar instead. I mean, so it was basically the same thing. And I couldn't see the point. So I was like so against it. We were out on tour, and every evening I was like, I don't understand why. Why do you want to do this? I mean, I don't see the point. I mean, you're just going to just destroy the original songs, I said, you know. But, you know, it's his band, so okay, fine. You do what you want to do.
Okay.
Oh, why was it controversial?
No, because in the internet there was the chats between fans. There was people. I've read people talking shit about about that record. People who think this record is not shouldn't be part of Thurion's discography. You know, but well, I really like it. Anyway,
Yeah, but
maybe
I like
because
those.
I
I
don't
like
like
those
the
songs
originals.
in.
I don't know, but it's
I don't know
I
what
think
it's called in French, but blue blah 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 blah. However it is, I mean that's a fantastic song, the original version, and it probably works with Therion, but and it's popular. But to me, it's like a sacrilege or something, or to destroy those kind of songs. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, but I was singing just a little bit on it because I was like really reluctant towards doing it. So in the end, I said, fine, I can do a couple of songs. You know, and I gotta say, because you asked me if I speak French, I was the last guy. I needed to go up to Stockholm anyway to get some of my drums or something, or equipment that he had in the studio. So I figured, okay, I can do those fucking songs. Since I'm taking my car and driving up there anyway. Before I got there, they had this French girl who was like an interpreter. She had to tell Thomas, for example, how to sing "Nous c'est grand Joël," or you know how to pronounce those words. And you don't speak French either. Yeah, and it was really, really difficult because of how they recorded it. But since I was so reluctant to doing it, I was kind of late. You know, I was the last guy in. So this girl had recorded just pronouncing "Le Guisan vous je peu however it sounds. I was trying to say that.
Always with a little mouth. That's the way you
Yeah,
speak French.
I don't speak French, but I like the way. I mean, Notre Dame, my band was all French. I mean, in a way, we had all those kind of things, but it's like all those stereotypes that you get from watching French movies or something. Oh, Paris, you know, in spring, and Montmartre, or all that stuff. Because it's like this romanticized, sensual, elegant kind of vibe you have. You know. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it was really difficult to do that, and I told Christopher, I mean, I can't simply memorize like singing long verses, so you have to use loop recording. Yeah, meaning that la tutti je traite mon qui puff. Oh, la tissuti peut-être ton qui puff. I have to do it over and over again, and then we pick the best take or something, because I cannot simply, you know, a whole fucking section, a whole verse. I couldn't simply in my life remember that much if I don't know what I'm singing. So you have to do it in a loop recording. Yeah, and that's what we did. Yeah, in the end, and now it's just like, okay, you go ahead and you pick the best takes from what you like, and I went home. You know. So I was kind of very much against it, but I guess it's popular in a way. Yeah.
And now let's talk just a little bit about your current project, your own band, no? Snow Show. And as we said, first you play all the instruments in studio there, but your records include collaborations from other musicians. You have shared work throughout your career, like I don't know, Mike Weed, Andy LaRocque, Michael Denner, Mats Leven. No, they all appear in some songs on your albums. You keep in touch with do you keep in touch with all of them through these years? I mean it's a lot of time. It's a lot of people, and
no, but the thing is that some people you keep more in touch with, others you tend to lose. I mean, it's just occasionally you bump into each other if you keep it in touch, giving them a call every once in a while or something. I was just in contact with Gus G today, for example, and Nalle called me this morning, the bass player from Therion and stuff. So, and so we keep in contact, of course. But I don't know. After this book, Messiah Markolin, that I used to play with, and I'm a big Candlemass fan and all that. After he ordered a book, the day after, he read about himself, and then he unfriended me.
Oh my God.
I guess, because I'm just spilling the beans, just like I am now. I'll tell it the way it is. I mean, I'm telling, this is about, spilling the beans, telling the fucking truth,
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy. I mean, a lovely guy to, socialize, have a beer with him and stuff like that. But to work with him, no.
It's difficult.
It's really difficult, yeah.
Okay. And then when you play live with your band, the musicians that come with you appear all dressed in a robe or tunic, no, and a hood, and this is very striking for Spanish people because that's the clothing.
Yeah.
So,
but that's why I did it, because I mean it's inspired by the Catholic, for Easter and all that.
Okay. That was the question. Where did you get the inspiration? If it was from the Easter clothing in Spain, or if it was a Ku Klux Klan or something like that.
No, but it was. I've seen pictures of that from Catalonia or whatever it is. I don't know, around for Easter, and it's so fucking bizarre with those Spanish priests, covering the streets like. It could be like those pointed hats in yellow or red or black or white, whatever. It's like, and they cover their faces. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. So
Yeah.
wow, if you do like that, and I call it the hex
where I live, it's I live in the south in Andalusia, and that's a big feast. I don't really like it because I'm not religious at all, but this is a whole bunch of people dressed like that.
Yeah, but I've seen movies and pictures and all carrying huge wooden crosses and being dressed up like that. The whole street is covered with them. It's like so scary.
Yeah. And they spend hours and hours walking through the streets like that during the night even. It's something worth seeing at least once in a lifetime.
Yeah, but it's a really cool thing. I mean, it just looks so scary, really. And I figured if I do it like that, it's like like Ghost. I suppose I did that before them. I suppose you can easily swap members in the band. Okay, you don't want to be there anymore.
No one will ever know this.
Nobody can tell.
Okay.
Because basically, when I'm playing live, I have like a steady band, but it's been revolving doors, I suppose you could say. That there's been a lot of different drummers, guitar players, bass players, and stuff. So, I mean, it's basically my band, and I tell them what to do, how to play, and stuff. And if they don't like it anymore, I mean, they can leave, or if they're not available at the moment because they're doing something else, I think. It's difficult to run a band these days, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, with all the stuff of the pandemic and the COVID-19, and so I guess you had plans of touring or doing something like that, and
yeah, but I was supposed to be out. First of all, I was supposed to be out a book signing event tour from like May all through the summer in Europe. So I had like maybe 20 books, maybe 20 dates for festivals and rock clubs and all sorts of places, smaller places. And I would also play a couple of songs, kind of semi-acoustically, me and another guy. And I would do the same thing in America from late August to September and October. And then I would be out in supporting Therion, actually, with my own band.
Okay.
For 2.5 months in all of Asia, all over Latin America, and also Europe. But then the fucking pandemic thing happened, and everything's been pushed back, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody dared to even make any plans because now we start talking about 2022 it's going to open up. Who knows?
Nobody knows. Really, nobody knows. It depends on the disposal of a vaccine. No, that's what it's called, a vaccine, a vaccination, injection to fight against it, and it's very difficult these times, I guess. And meanwhile, are you doing something, writing new music or something you can tell us?
Yeah, but I'm doing all kinds of stuff. Like I just finished singing for an Italian band, a song here, and I get quite a lot of requests from people who want me to record drums for the album or bass or sing on the particular songs and all that. So, and if I like it, then we can agree on the economics. I do that, and I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm also running the business myself, and so I'm doing all kinds of stuff all the time. It's a one-man operation, pretty much. I have some help from my wife, though, but it's I'm doing. It's hard to say. I don't know. Time just fly by, I guess.
Okay.
But but I'm putting out a new album now for Halloween. Live in Hell, it's called. It's a new vinyl album, so limited edition, 333 copies. sort of half evil, you know. Yeah, so
How people.
yeah, yeah. So that's going to be out now for Halloween. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm doing
Okay.
all kinds of stuff all the time. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not still, you're not quiet now. You have to do something always, I guess. And finally, the last question, because we are already talking for an hour.
Yeah.
This is the lazy journalist question. What would you ask yourself? Is there any
What would I ask
question?
myself?
Yeah, well, is there any question you missed in the interview or something? Something you would like to tell us? I don't know.
Yeah, but I did some interview and they asked me, why now? Why did you decide to put out the book now? When the corona hit and all that? Was that just a coincidence? Yes, it was. You know, because I've been writing on this for 10 years. And so it was, you could say, a happy accident. Because now people have time to be home, I suppose, and read books instead of going to concerts. Nobody can get out in crowds and all that. So, yeah, but I didn't plan that, of course, but it actually panned out pretty good for me. Yeah. And yeah, why did I bring that up? I don't know.
That's the question, the interview. So
yeah, but I haven't got that many from Spain though. I mean, I gotta say that not that many orders from the Spanish-speaking countries, and let's say Mexico, for example, and then Colombia. And all. I mean, when we've been touring so much in those countries, and I was kind of expecting, you know, we have a good reputation and a big fan base there, that you should get more fans. But maybe, I don't know if they don't have the money, or they don't want to read English or something. I don't know.
The shipping cost, as we've told at the beginning, are expensive, and I think it's a question of people. There's a lot of people that still don't know you have a book there to sell. It's a question of advertising, no? Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, I know. But what is advertising these days? I guess. I mean, magazines don't exist. I mean, so this is why we're talking right now. I mean, so to spread the word around.
Yeah.
And I had a fairly big following on social medias, and I've been posting stuff. And distribution. I mean, what is that nowadays? I mean, it's just like the like I was saying in the beginning of our conversation here, that the record industry and the book industry is kind of similar in a lot of ways, because I don't know if they are bookstores, because they are not record stores, because it's not physical products. Yeah. So it's kind of difficult, but that is also why I designed this book just the way I want it to look, as gorgeous. I mean, with the design and on glossy pages and cool photos that you never seen before, like private stuff from my private archives or collection, and just the way I wanted to read it myself, with illustrations and doodling around, like all kinds of stuff like that. So that's why you want it, instead of, I'm going to be making the audiobook pretty soon now. That's going to be a big challenge also, because I'm no actor, really, like we talked about before. So I have to read it in a good way, and yeah, but it's going to be really interesting to do that. But it's going to take some time, and my English is not perfect either, so I have to do a lot of takes, I suppose.
But when people like us that don't have a perfect English, I think we can reach better an international audience, not native speaking audience, because when we hear, at least for me, when I hear an American speak English,
Yeah.
I don't get 50% of what it says. You know, it's
Okay. Yeah.
for me it's easier to listen to German or a Swede or something that
Yeah,
speaking
because we
English.
are all crappy. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, American. If you compare it to British people, they don't
Yeah.
seem so quite so colorful in their language or vocabulary as a lot of Brits.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good. I mean, so we don't have to have any habitations or whatever you call it, because we're both as crappy, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, pues this is coming to an end, and it's been a pleasure and an honor to
You're a
have this
bad liar.
interview. Eh?
You're a
A bad
bad
liar?
liar.
A bad liar? Oh my God.
It's
Well,
been a pleasure.
I have this written down here.
Exactly, it's been a pleasure.
And well, we hope to see you soon, as soon
Absolutely.
as the coronavirus ends, and hope to see you on stages here
Yeah,
in
well, like I
Spain.
mentioned before you started this recording, I mean, I'm planning on moving to Spain.
Yeah.
I'm checking out different houses and all that, and talking to real estate guys and all that to find out the right kind of home in Alicante or Torrevieja, or however you
Ibiza.
pronounce that. Yeah,
Ibiza. Yep.
yeah, yeah. But let's see
Something
where
like
I end up. You know, so I'm
Yeah.
looking into all kinds of possibilities.
And the coast. And the coast is always better than
Oh yeah, yeah.
Alicante,
I
Ibiza,
like Spain, so yeah.
or Andalusia, Malaga or Cadiz or something like that. It's
Yeah,
always
we see
better
what happens.
than inside. Inside, there's a lot of heat in summer. Too
Yeah,
much,
but I gotta
40
say, I mean,
something
I was
degrees.
posting a picture yesterday morning when I was like walking the dog in 6 in the morning. It's like raining and it's cold as fuck, and and I wrote, "Why do I have to put up with this crap? Why can't I live in Hawaii or something?" Yeah, but you're snowy show, not sunny show. yeah, but I'm getting fed up with the fucking cold and boring weather. I mean, I want to have a nice life and sun. I like the sun, of course.
And now that you bring your own name to the attention, why did you change your name to Snowy Shaw? I've read in the book a kind of mythological, that your mom was in a hippie festival in the United States and stuff like that. But
Yeah, but that's true. Yeah. But it's not because of that. I mean, I was, like nicknamed Santa or Snowy or Snow White because of my blonde hair and all
uh-huh.
that when I was a kid. So, and that kind of stuck, and so that's what people call me. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to change my name legally that way. But you can read about that in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to fucking order the book now because it's running out and it's going to be out of print and then it's gone forever.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Antonio, I think you're going to put down here www.snowyshaw.net.
.net. Okay.
.net. Yeah. So hurry up and order it now. So you will have it dedicated in your name and all that.
Okay.
I do a special just for you.
Okay. Buy the book.
Yeah, buy the book. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much, Snowy. It's been
Thank you so much.
a quite fun interview, and hope to see you soon. And
I'm not lying. It was a fun interview. It was nice talking to you. Okay. Take good care of yourself.
Okay. The same.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Blah, blah.